You're shipping a feature on Azure OpenAI, and someone asks the question every architect dreads. What stops it from saying something harmful, leaking your prompt, or getting jailbroken? You have three real tools: system prompts, Azure AI Content Safety, and prompt shields. They are not interchangeable, and picking the wrong one for a job costs you latency, money, or a headline. In the next 5 minutes, I'll lay out the criteria that actually matter, where each layer fits, and a defense in-depth framework you can apply today. Before choosing tools, decide what you're optimizing. 5 things move the needle. First, what threat class, harmful content, prompt injection, data exfiltration, or off-topic drift? Second, added latency, since every external call adds tens to low hundreds of milliseconds. Third, cost per call. Fourth, where enforcement lives, inside the model's behavior or as a hard external gate you control. And fifth, auditability. Can you log, threshold, and prove what was blocked? System prompts are soft and free. Content safety is a hard, measurable gate. Match the tool to the threat. The system prompt or system message is your cheapest control. It sets role, scope, refusal behavior, and tone, and it costs nothing beyond the tokens it consumes. Use it to keep the model on topic, to define what it must refuse, and to give safe fallback responses. But understand its limits, its guidance, not enforcement. A determined user can override or coax around it, and it does nothing once content has already been generated. Treat the system prompt as steering, never as your security boundary. It's necessary, but never sufficient on its own. Azure AI Content Safety is your hard gate. It's a separate service that classifies text and images across 4 categories: hate, sexual, violence, and self-harm, each scored on a severity scale you threshold yourself. Call it on the user input before the model, and on the model output before it reaches the user. Because it's external and deterministic, you get logs, configurable severity cutoffs, and an enforcement point that doesn't depend on the model's mood. The trade-off is an extra API call and cost per request, so budget for the added latency. Pricing and category details shift. Check the current Azure docs. System prompts and harm classifiers don't stop someone hijacking your instructions. That's where prompt shields come in, part of content safety, purpose-built to detect direct jailbreak attempts and indirect prompt injection hidden inside documents your app feeds the model. This matters most for retrieval-augmented generation, where untrusted content from a web page or uploaded file can carry malicious instructions. Run prompt shields on user input and on any grounding data before it hits the model. Think of it as the lock specifically for the injection threat that the other 2 layers simply weren't designed to catch. Here's the defense in-depth picture. The client hits API management, which fronts every request and enforces auth and rate limits. From there, input passes through content safety and prompt shields before reaching Azure OpenAI, where your system prompt steers generation. The response loops back through content safety on the way out, and everything is logged. No single layer carries the whole load. The gateway controls access, the shields stop injection, the classifier blocks harm, and the system prompt keeps things on task. Each layer covers a gap the others leave open. So when do you reach for what? If the risk is the model wandering off topic or being too verbose, the system prompt handles it for free. If you must block harmful content categories with auditable thresholds, that's content safety. If users or documents might hijack your instructions, you need prompt shields. In practice, a production app uses all 3, but knowing which layer owns which threat keeps you from over-engineering. Don't pay for an external call to solve a problem a sentence in the system prompt would fix. Guardrails aren't one feature, they're layers, each owning a distinct threat. System prompts steer behavior cheaply but enforce nothing. Content safety is your hard, Auditable gate for harmful content, screening both input and output. Prompt shields close the injection gap, especially in retrieval scenarios. Your concrete next step. Take your current Azure OpenAI app and add a content safety check on both the input and the output paths this week. Most apps only guard one side. Then map every threat you care about to exactly one owning layer. And since categories, scores, and pricing evolve, verify against the current Azure docs before you ship. If this helped, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next video.